This is the human side of the story. And on Friday, Brad Marchand made his debut as a Florida Panther in a game against Utah Hockey Club. He assisted on Bennett's overtime game-winning goal. And the two of them played together on Team Canada in the Four Nations Faceoff. But if you rewind back a little further, it was Bennett who knocked out Marchand in Game 3 of their second-round series last year. It was really a sneak punch, which several TV outlets actually had to look at reverse angles to actually see what had taken place. The Bruins were outraged, and rightfully so. Marchand missed games 4 and 5 of that series, and the Bruins wound up falling to the Panthers eventually in Game 6. But this is one of these situations where you see players that have had somewhat salty relationships as opponents, and then they become teammates. And you were general manager. Do you recall any instances that you would have when you picked up a player with a known grudge against another player?
Well, the one that comes most to mind is I had Kevin Stevens on the Rangers, came in from Los Angeles and acquired that famous Islander defenseman, Rich
Pilon.
Rich Pilon. And Rich Pilon had been the one that had broken Stevens' face, basically, with a hit earlier in their careers. And you wondered how that would go along. But they became friends, like all hockey players do. I remember when LaFontaine, I got him from Buffalo, and he came in, and he had not had a good relationship with John Muckler, who was our coach. And but that worked its way through. And even getting Luc Robitaille onto the Rangers when Wayne Gretzky was on the team. And those two, there seemed to be something going back to the LA days when they were together. So that's one thing about hockey players. If once they're on the same team, everything's forgotten about. They just go about their business.
And you mentioned the Pilon Stevens incident, which was more of a happenstance collision in Game 7 of their playoff series between the Penguins and the Islanders in 1993. And that actually ended the run for the Penguins after winning consecutive cups in 91 and 92, where Pilon happened to get Stevens high, and Stevens, I think, was out before he hit the ice. And he, as you had said, went face first and literally broke his face. And that was really a hockey play gone wrong.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a dirty check. The other one that I remember famously is Cam Neely and Ulf Samuelsson. It was thought that Ulf Samuelsson's dirty hit on Cam Neely gave him a thigh contusion, where it ended up calcifying and led to the end of his career. The weird part about that one was, although Neely obviously on the Bruins and Samuelsson on the Penguins, they both had the same agent. Cam Neely and Ulf Samuelsson. So that was another one there that you wondered how that would go if the agent had a party in the summer and those two saw each other.
I don't think those two could have been good teammates with each other, given that history, and that Neely's knee was really what ended his career.
Yeah, and it was that calcification. But then again, there's been lots of hits to the thigh and to the knee that doesn't end up calcifying. And so this was just one of those bad things. And last thing I'll bring up is, will we ever forget the Dennis Potvin non-hit, really, on Ulf Nilsson, where he caught a rut in the garden ice that is so bad and ended up breaking his leg. And everybody said it was the Potvin's hit that did it, when if you watch that replay, it's not. And to this day, and we're in 2025, and that happened in the 70s, to this day, that is the reason that the chant at MSG is Potvin sucks. Of course, most of the audience doesn't even know who Potvin is.
The hit was clean. The ice was crap. And also remember that back in those days, Ulf Nielsen wore that molded plastic Lang boot that had absolutely no give in it. So again, hockey play gone wrong.
Yep, for sure.
Want to remind you of one other thing before we let the Samuelsson thing drop. You had acquired him in a trade, and Ty Domi, who you once had, was playing in Toronto, and Domi knocked Samuelsson out with his sucker punch.
Yeah, and I was outraged at that. And I started Ty's career in New York. I mean, he played for us. That started his whole career. I ended up trading him to Winnipeg, and from Winnipeg he went to Toronto. And then we had Ulf Samuelsson, and Ty knocked him out. But here's what Ulf Samuelsson's like. I went down to the locker room after the game, and I told Samuelsson how furious and upset I was about that. And he said, it's my fault. I should have known who was around me. I should be more aware. Unbelievable.
There is something about the nobility of hockey players 99% of the time that still astonishes.
It is. It truly is.
And to bring this full circle, Marchand and Bennett now kissing cousins as the Panthers look to defend their Stanley Cup crown.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the NHL Wraparound podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all the NHL action.